Now, South Africa ordered Israel's deputy ambassador to leave the country within 72 hours on Friday, accusing him undermining relations between the countries with social media posts that insulted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and violating diplomatic protocols. Now, the South African Foreign Ministry said that it was expelling this diplomat called Ariel Siedman. It's the top Israeli diplomat in Israel embassy in South Africa, and he's the charge d'affaires at the Israeli embassy, and declared him a person non grata, a diplomatic term indicating the person is no longer welcome in a country. Now, Siedman is the most senior Israeli diplomatic figure in South Africa after Israel recalled its ambassador in 2023. Hours later, this has caused also a tit for tat. Israel's foreign ministry said on X that it was expelling a senior South African diplomat, Sean Edward Ben Veld, in a response and ordered him to leave Israel within 72 hours. Diplomatic relations between South Africa and Israel were already severely restrained after South Africa, a longtime supporter of Palestinian people, accused Israel of genocide against Palestinians in Gaza in case at the United Nations top court. Now, Israel has strongly denied that allegation and accused South Africa of acting as a legal arm of Palestinian militant group Hamas by bringing the highly emotive case before the International Court of Justice. Now, Siedman's expulsion was likely to provoke a strong reaction from the United States, a close Israeli ally that under President Donald Trump has already been especially critical of South Africa. So now South Africa has the Minister of Foreign Affairs has justified the expulsion of this Israeli diplomat. So I'm going to bring you that video where the person from the Foreign Ministry of South Africa has talked to the South Africa's Broadcasting Corporation, and also we will bring you an expert on international relation, Dr. Van Harden. So let me just play that video for you. Here now the justification from the South Africa's Foreign Ministry for the expulsion.
We have been noting for some time that the Israeli embassy, particularly on social media, has embarked on what we can definitely classify as highly undiplomatic conduct. We've seen very disparaging remarks directed at our president, and we've raised these concerns with the Israeli embassy previously. And we had hoped that this conduct would end and we would see some change in behavior and maybe an adherence to the diplomatic protocols. We've also seen recently senior officials from Israel visiting South Africa without the Israeli embassy informing South Africa, DIRCO in particular, as it's required to do in terms of the diplomatic protocol. So cumulatively, all of these things have come to where we are now, and we think that the best way forward is to have someone who will respect our diplomatic protocols and norms, and also respect that we're a sovereign country and we should be treated as such.
Sorry, let me just clarify for you before I'm going to play a video of the international expert in, his view, whether this is justifiable and, addressing the root cause of it and then the impact of it. Look, the reason for the expulsion is that the South African Foreign Ministry said expelling Siedman follows a series of unacceptable violation of diplomatic norms and practice which pose a direct challenge to South Africa's sovereignty. It said, what he did is the ministry did not give any details, but what they said is that he is a diplomat posted on social media platforms that to launch insulting attacks against Ramaphosa. The ministry did not give any detail on the posts it referred to, and it wasn't immediately clear what they contained. The ministry also said there had been a deliberate failure to inform South Africa of visits by Israeli officials. It also gave no more detail on that. But David Saranga, an official at the Israeli Foreign Ministry tasked with promoting Israel's image on social media, was in South Africa this week. South Africa said that it had informed the Israeli government of the decision to expel Siedman and urged to ensure its future diplomatic conduct demonstrates respect for South Africa. Some members of the Jewish community in South Africa criticized the decision to expel the diplomat. So what they did is also, there is this group called, led by King Buyelekaya Danlidiebo, who supports Israel despite, Israel's government's stance. South Africa government's stance against Israel when it comes to the case of Palestinian. And, Israel has been that country that supported apartheid by weaponizing the oppressors in South Africa. So South Africa has that long-term fight against Israel and all those who have been sponsoring apartheid. Okay, now here is the view from these international experts regarding this expulsion.
So that was Crispin Piri there, who speaks on behalf of the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola. Let's pick up the conversation. Dr. Oscar van Heerden joins me now to pick up on that point. Doc, good afternoon, and thank you for your time. Before we get to the tit-for-tat expulsion of senior diplomats, are you this afternoon any clearer as to what the grievance is on the part of South Africa that has led to them declaring the charge d'affaires of Israel to be a persona non grata, which is an extraordinary step on its own, given the seniority of that diplomat? Are you clear? They're saying that he has engaged in undiplomatic conduct, especially on social media. But are you clear as to what this conduct was and how it stacks up against the Vienna Convention?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not clear, Tulas. I've tried to put out feelers and get a sense, but I think the overwhelming sense that one gets, even though no one wants to give details, is that the charge d'affaires have conducted himself in a disrespectful manner. That various posts on social media from the deputy ambassador suggest that he has been insulting to the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, making disparaging comments and remarks with regards to him and his government. And also that just general protocols is not being adhered to in a disrespectful manner. You know, when senior officials of Israel, in this case, come to the Republic of South Africa, protocol dictates that the embassy must let the South African government know, so that we know that there are these high officials in the country. In case anything happens to them, we take full responsibility for them. Now, the embassy simply does not do this, ignores us, goes about activities in the Eastern Cape, and so on and so forth, without informing the presidency and or DIRCO. And from what I can gather, to us, the presidency and DIRCO have had enough.
Yeah. So the one example I could find of a social media post that perhaps would fall along this line was when President Ramaphosa was quoted as saying, Ramaphosa says, boycott politics doesn't work over Trump's decision to skip G20 summit. So it's from November last year. The Israeli embassy handle on X responding and saying, and I quote here, a rare moment of wisdom and diplomatic clarity from President Ramaphosa. Quote, boycott politics doesn't work we totally agree. So that's just one example, I suppose, Dirko, and in fact, that's the question I want to ask you. Declaring a charge d'affaires to be a persona non grata, as I say, is an extraordinary statement. One presumes that there would have been steps taken before. Just talk me through those. How would South Africa have gone about raising their grievance against this particular diplomat?
People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? I tell them one word.
Yeah, as indicated by the spokesperson there of DIRCO, Crispin Piri, they would have exhausted all avenues. Firstly, they would have raised objections to the embassy directly, probably through the ambassador's office, because we are talking of a deputy ambassador and or charge d'affaires. They would have also, in failure to get a response from the embassy, they would have contacted the Israeli government in terms of its foreign affairs department and raised objections there, preferably in writing, and await a response from them as to what actions they are going to take. Failure these diplomatic channels, they would then want to put out a warning to the concerned individual through the embassy, and only then, if the conduct continues, then they would be investigating possible expulsions, persona non grata, and so on. So you're right, a number of steps would have been followed up till this point. But I also do think it's important to say to us that, you know, the South African government and DIRCO and the presidency has for years been very light-footed, if I can put it like that, towards the Israeli embassy and towards the Israeli state, in the sense that, you know, for years, the governing party's national elective conference has said that they need to scale down the diplomatic mission in Israel. They need to get rid of the embassy here in South Africa. They need to sever relations with Israel. None of these things were adhered to by the president and or the Minister of Foreign Affairs, because they understand the sensitivity around having diplomatic relations with Israel. But clearly, this was the last straw for them.
Yeah. So how does this play then, Dr. van Heerden? How does this play within the domestic body politic, where, you know, the views about what steps, what calibrated steps we should be taking on the international stage are always mixed and divergent? I mean, you are seeing already the various political parties, some welcoming it, but the DA saying that this is just another misstep on the part of South Africa and actually risks the country's trade relationships and growth. How do you foresee this one playing itself out in the domestic body politic, but also its geopolitical implications?
So let me just interject here. So the DA is the Democratic Alliance political party, which represents the white minority in South Africa. And that is a political party that created coalition after the last election in South Africa, the government of union, which is a mistake in South Africa. But so that specific political party is now saying another diplomatic misstep by South African government to give a person non grata for that top Israeli diplomat after insulting the president. Just to clarify that, now let's let's continue with the experts' answer.
You know, Tulas, I think that it would be advisable for everyone to see this in the in the analysis that they apply, that this is not a case, an isolated case between South Africa and Israel. This is a concerted effort, concerted political campaign on the part of the United States and Israel, the Zionist domestically here in South Africa, all in cahoots with a political program against South Africa. Insults, untruths, lies, false narratives, disrespect, and so on and so forth, all in an attempt to cast particular aspersions on the South African government, precisely because South Africa decided to take Israel to the International Court of Justice on the charge of genocide. And so the United States, Israel, and the Zionists are not going to relent. I don't think we've seen the end of it. we are going to see some more repercussions of this. But the main question we should ask to those that say it's another misstep or it's a miscalculation, etc., is at what cost do we want to sell our sovereignty? At what point do we say we are not going to be bullied or cajoled or blackmailed into taking particular actions, who our friends can and cannot be, which domestic laws we should or should not have, and how do we do post-apartheid transformation within South Africa? These are the real issues at hand.
As if this situation can do with even more complexity, Dr. van Heerden. The complexity we learn through the minister's spokesperson, Crispin Piri, is that, and I'm quoting him here, Mr. Sean Beineveld is ambassador to the state of Palestine, not Israel. Mm-hmm. Israel's obstructionism forces a farcical arrangement where he is accredited through the very state that occupies his host country. This underscores Israel's refusal to honor international consensus. That's just another spanner in the works, because as it turns out, this is not South Africa's ambassador to Israel, it's South Africa's ambassador to Palestine. Dr. Oscar van Heerden, an international relations expert, unpacking the latest developments between South Africa and Israel.
So as the person from the news broadcast has clarified, the one that Israel also responded by expelling or giving a persona non grata to the South African diplomat is not actually an ambassador of South Africa to Israel. I mean, that has been already, cleared out during when South Africa has taken the case of Palestine to The Hague. Now, what they have given a persona non grata is to South Africa's ambassador to Palestine, because there is no peace in Palestine. I mean, they have to sit in Israel and be an ambassador to Palestine. It's not only South Africa, other countries, the way they do it is also like this. So this by itself is not, it does not align with the international convention. So what do you think this will do? I mean, do you think at all this expulsion of diplomats between two countries will solve the root cause of the problem? It's not just because this that Israel is acting this way. They know that South Africa is not taking lightly what's happening against the people of Palestine, because that is something close to heart issue for South Africa. So, and in fact, it's a motto that they follow: until the people of Palestine get peace, there is no peace. This is something that they follow from the start of the establishment of the state. After apartheid, I'm talking about. Do you think this will solve the problem? And of course, at what cost really should any sovereign government can stop bullying diplomats sitting in its own country? Let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this? Thank you very much again for tuning in. I am Mahalet Ayala, your host at Connect Africa. I will see you on the next one. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give it a like if you find it informative enough. Share the video with others. It's information, it's knowledge. Do not keep it just for yourself. And with that, you can also help us to reach more people. You can also help us further by donating to our PayPal account, also by becoming a member to our channel. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.